So hi there, and welcome to this webinar on the secret of improving energy performance in the workspace. My name is Chris Case. I've been working as a consultant and auditor for Citation ISO Certification Limited for 5 years now, specialising on the implementation and auditing of management systems, and one that we're going to reference today is ISO 50001. With me, we also have Fiona Chestnut, and if you'd like to introduce yourself, Fiona.
Hi everyone, my name is Fiona Chestnut. Thanks very much, Chris. And I am here from GemServe, but representing the National Insulation Association, or the NIA. I will be talking a bit more later, obviously, and I'll be telling you about insulation and energy efficiency in the workplace. And yeah, look forward to hearing your part first, Chris. Over to you.
So, we'll give you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the advantages of managing energy efficiently, how to carry out an energy review, which is a large part of ISO 50001, how to establish an energy baseline, which is also another requirement, and we're going to go into the details of how we can reduce energy bills for business, a little bit more about 50001 and the controls that it requires, what the benefits are of 50001. We're going to see whether you're ready to take control of your energy and whether you want to go into looking at ISO 50001 and a little bit of a business scope. Then we'll have a Q&A, and then, as Fiona said, I'll hand over to her for her to talk about her side of things and how it links into energy management systems. So let's get started. So let's start with some positive energy. So the more you know about your energy usage, the better that you can manage it. So one of the benefits of ISO 50001 is about identifying, carrying out an energy review and identifying what your energy usage is. It's going to help you improve and manage your energy. It can make a real difference on your business, not only just financially, but obviously looking into your energy performance, looking into your environmental impact as well. There's going to be close links to environmental management systems within this as well. And looking at ways in which you can improve that performance. Carrying out an energy review, like I said, will help you increase your awareness around what energy you're using. Obviously, we're going to talk about setting a baseline, but we're going to talk about how that's going to also help you as well. But also as part of this is looking at significant energy uses and how we can control them. So how do you carry out an energy review? So an energy review is what it is. It's carrying out a review of your energy performance. It's looking at all the different energy that you use within your business and categorizing them, whether it be electricity, whether it be gas, whether it be fuel, whether you're using green energy, whether you're not. And it's about identifying what these uses are and where these uses come from. What are they being used in? Once you know what energy types you're going to be using, you can then look into how you can control them, and which takes us into the next bit, which is looking at the output of this. So first of all, start of an energy review, you're going to be going around just like you would do at home, and you like everyone's probably looked at them little screens that's in your home, looking at when you turn things on. You can look at how much energy is being used, you know which days energy is going to go up, you know that you're probably going to use less energy when you're out at a weekend. The same applies to business. It's looking at energy usage throughout the business and identifying what we refer to as SEUs, which is significant energy users. There's obviously lots of different things that can affect a significant energy use, things like key performance indicators, which is another thing that's referenced within the standard. And a key performance indicator might be something that would impact a significant energy use. So something like the weather, something like the time of year, something about the amount of people that you've got in your building, whether it's a weekday or a weekend. These are all key performance indicators which could effectively affect a significant energy use. Once you've identified what your basic energy use is, what your significant energy uses are, and what your key performance indicators are, you can review them over a period of time. Typically, we tend to look at like a 12-month period of how you're going to be reviewing your performance. And you might be able to see whether there's any peaks and any troughs within your energy usage. Also think about multiple locations that you may have, whether it be on-site, off-site, whether you might have remote locations, whether you might be even on client site and you're using any tools or equipment there. That all feeds into your energy management system. So once you've been reviewing this information over a 12-month period, or shorter in some cases, it depends on your business needs, not typically 12 months, we need to be looking at creating a baseline. And this is your typical energy usage, like you would do at home. You know roughly what you're going to be using over a period of time. It's the same here. It's creating a baseline. It's looking at your energy usage, looking at your significant energy uses, and looking at any key performance indicators and identifying where you have a baseline, and what we refer to as a baseline, which is what you expect to use within that either time of year or time of day. This then becomes the foundation of your controls. So you would then set yourself a baseline and you can measure your performance against this baseline. So your baseline may change from year to year based on past energy uses. And you may be able to introduce different controls around your baseline and your energy usage, which brings us into how you can reduce your energy for your business. So looking at your baseline, having that information there can then also lead into having energy controls, let's say. So it's looking at any key performance indicators, any SEUs, and looking at how we can reduce that energy usage. How can we bring that baseline down? So some examples here may seem silly and may seem very, very minor, but they all do definitely need to be considered when we're looking at an energy management system. So having the air conditioning on with a window open is a big one that we see quite a lot, and vice versa works with heating. Having the heating on with a window open, just throwing waste energy out the window. And it might come down into moving people around the room, positioning desks in different spaces, which we'll talk a little bit about design shortly. But those are all different ways in which you can reduce energy there. Introducing the lights off policy or even timed lighting, light that's on sensors, are all different ways in which you can reduce your light usage, your electricity usage with lights. Turning computers off on standby. I mean, I'm guilty of leaving things on standby, but I'm a lot more conscious now of making sure that little yellow dot isn't on anymore. Maybe setting yourself objectives with regards to travel and fuel usage, planning more efficient routes, looking into different vehicles, different potential vehicles, whether you're using electric vehicles, diesel vehicles, even if it's down to things like forklift trucks, if you're using a forklift truck that uses diesel or a forklift truck that you can charge overnight. What time of day that you're charging. Potentially you might be able to improve your energy usage if you charge things at night, dependent on your area and your electricity usage, and providing training and awareness. And one of the big things with all of these standards, whether it be environmental, health and safety, quality, energy management, or information security, it's all about awareness and communication and making your staff aware of how their job impacts the energy management system and how their actions could have a positive or negative impact on what your company objectives may be. One of the big key areas around energy management, and especially with the ISO 50001, is design, looking into design. And this may be apparent with things like new build houses, and you maybe watched episodes on TV of things where of building shows where they're looking at more sustainable materials and things like insulation, which I'll bring you in later with Fiona. Fiona can talk about, but looking at how you could design energy management or energy efficiency as part of your intended output, whether it be a building, whether it be a new process that you're using, whether it be a new piece of kit. And there is a very large site that I visit to do their energy management system quite nearby, who are a very good example of what good looks like, and they move from a very small place to a very large place. And one of the things that they considered when moving there was the energy performance of the site, and they designed that by identifying key areas of the building that were difference in temperature or difference in light, using light, positioning windows a certain way so that there was less requirement to use lights in the day, and using timed lighting throughout the warehouse facility. So there's lots of different ways in which you can implement energy management controls into design. But yeah, so there's a few examples there on screen of how you can do that. And this would tie very closely into what Fiona is going to talk about very shortly. So an overview. So ISO 50001 is the international standard of energy management systems, so which we call it ENMS. It is a practical way to help you identify, manage, control, and hopefully improve your energy performance of your business. And it's the same with this standard as it is all of the standards. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a large facility, operational plant, or warehouse. All of these standards, they can work both on large and small scale. The standard is there about being aware. It's creating awareness of what you're doing and monitoring your usage more than anything. Obviously, with certain management systems, there's going to become a line where the improvement cannot be had beyond what you have created, but it's about being aware of what you're doing, and if you can improve it, then that's a benefit there. Obviously, with everything that's been going up recently with energy prices and with environmental awareness and net zero, there's also a large benefit of how it could look for your business. It's a great brand image to be able to say that you can actually put a flagpole up and say, do you know what, we are an energy management aware company. We do have energy management procedures in place, or we do have environmental management systems in place. They all feed into, you know, I mean, the brand and the image of the company. So the benefits of ISO 50001, we've had a little bit of a chat about it, but it's about reducing your energy consumption and increase cost savings. Obviously, cost savings is a great benefit to have. Also, reducing your carbon footprint and reducing the amount of environmental impacts you are causing is also a great benefit. Better legal compliance. It wants you to monitor and measure your legal and compliance obligations that you may have. Once you have the awareness in place, it can also help you make sharper decisions around your energy usage, being more aware of what you're doing. Obviously, it becoming a factor that becomes a decision, especially when around design elements and around operation and control. Once you're aware of energy management and you're looking into how you're performing, it obviously then becomes a factor that you would consider, or a variable that you would look into. It continually improves your energy management, increases sustainability, and can enhance your green credentials. So all great positives there. So if you are ready to look into energy management and your controls, I would highly recommend taking a look into ISO 50001. Us over here at Citation ISO Certification Limited, we offer a two-step process in which we can review and we can help implement and consult on the requirements of ISO 50001. So whenever you are ready, so are we. So there is a few links here which you can take a look at. So there's a little bit more information there about ISO 50001. There's also, we have a great team of marketers who have put together a load of FAQs around ISO 50001. So a lot of questions that you may have around there might be answered within that section. And then we have our login to Atlas, formerly known as QMS Connect, but there's a login to Atlas there, which is our one-stop shop platform for the implementation and management of ISO management systems. So obviously a major part of the energy management system is around design and development, and hopefully Fiona can now step in here and answer a few questions that you may have, or give you a little bit more information around energy efficiency and the practicalities. So over to you, Fiona.
Thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, it's great to be presenting and working with you today, Chris, because Citation are one of the National Insulation Association's partners. So it's good to have this collaboration today. So my name is Fiona Chestnut. I am the Policy Advisor and Member Engagement Lead for the NIA. So I'm going to talk to you today about energy efficiency and a bit about why we want to begin, or if you haven't already thinking about really improving your property, your business property, to a higher energy efficiency level, and what benefits you'll experience, and why are we thinking about this? So who is the National Insulation Association? I will cover off a little bit about that. I will talk about insulation measures and benefits, a little bit around the policy frameworks and the funding mechanisms that may be available to you, and the importance of making sure that if you do carry out any work, that work is carried out to high quality standards. So the National Insulation Association, I will refer to as NIA from now, and we essentially are the voice, if you like, of the insulation industry, and we work across the United Kingdom. We're made up of around 70 or so members, and we influence policy. We have a good working relationship with government. We collaborate with government regularly, either through consultation responses, or we're involved in some of their workshops. For example, a month or two ago, I was in number 10 Downing Street at a workshop to talk about, what challenges are facing the industry at the moment and how can we overcome them. So we are trying to bring together in the industry as a whole, and also are thinking about the bigger picture from insulation, which is retrofit. And retrofit is something that's becoming increasingly more popular and becoming something that we're beginning to think more about, rather than single measures, thinking about a whole house or a whole building and how that can be improved in terms of its energy efficiency. And I think at the heart of what we do, we think of the consumer, and if the consumer really is the person, if you like, that really needs to come first in all of this process. They need to ensure that they have energy efficiency measures that give them the desired effects that they need and are looking for, and that gives them benefit from the costs that they are inputting. So kind of going back to basics a little bit, in terms of insulation then, why should you consider insulation? And I know that Chris mentioned things like measures that you can do, such as closing your window when you've got heating on, or making sure the windows are closed when you've got the air conditioning on. Those are things that you can do straight away. Whereas insulation, if you haven't got a really good insulated property, you're losing that heat from your building and spending more money to try and heat your property. So the image there gives you a few sort of stats that can really show of a typical house. In the loft, you can lose 25% of heat, and through external walls 35%, through window openings 10%. So gives you an idea of just the extent that you can find that heat will be lost in a property. So if you insulate, you're reducing that heating energy demand of your building, so it's going to cost less to be able to heat it. So your energy bills will be lower, and also contributes to reducing the carbon emissions. And that obviously has a positive impact in terms of reaching net zero. I think maybe not quite as specific to businesses, but definitely for properties, it can help to reduce fuel poverty, which really overall is quite a key point to make, because of that cutting of energy costs, especially with everything going on at the moment with the energy crisis. That really is key to try and bring that energy demand down. Other than that, in terms of the workplace or at home, it improves health and the air quality inside the building, and also your well-being and living conditions. And that goes for people with health issues, or those that suffer from cold or damp, or essentially, those working in an office area that, feel the cold quite a lot. So there's lots of benefits to why insulation, should be installed. And I'm not going to go into too much detail with all of the various types of insulation measures, but the key point I want to make here is that within the UK, there is such a heterogeneous housing stock, whether it be commercial buildings or domestic buildings. And therefore, we need to have a range of measures that we can use to be able to benefit and improve the energy efficiency of all of the housing stock, or as much as we can anyway. So that's why there are various insulation measures, all of which have varying costs and all of which have varying benefits as well to a property. So you probably have heard of some of them before, but you've got external wall insulation and internal wall. So that depends upon whether you can have external wall. Those, for example, that aren't able to may go for an internal wall insulation. If you, for example, are renovating or redecorating inside of property or a commercial property, you'll be able to potentially look into internal wall insulation, which does slightly minimize the space inside, but really not by very much. And that insulation is really for any buildings that have been built before the 1920s. Then you've got cavity wall insulation, which is sort of between the bricks. So that's if the property has cavity walls, then the insulation can be injected. And loft insulation, that's really one of the most cost-effective ways to improve the energy efficiency of your building, because so much of the heat is otherwise lost through the loft, and actually to install it's probably one of the more cost-effective means. And then just going on from that, just to really show that there are so many different options. You've got floor insulation, both solid floor and suspended floor, and you've got room and roof. It's probably more for if it's a domestic property, flat roof insulation and park home insulation. If you do want to find out more, if you're interested, I do appreciate that these figures are probably more based on domestic, but it still gives you a very good idea as to the benefits that can be seen in terms of the energy cost savings and the energy carbon dioxide savings themselves. And you can see with that graph, the Energy Savings Trust have put together, just shows how much you might be able to save annually. So in terms of funding that's available, so really the most funding is available for those that are receiving means tested benefits in domestic houses or those on low income households. So that's really the government's key focus. So those that are in social housing that are on low income, for local authorities to be able to roll out energy efficiency measures, and also for landlords. In terms of businesses, I've put together some key pieces of advice to look at. A lot of the support that's available for businesses is really dependent upon where you are based, which is why in those shapes you can see various examples of where there are programs that are available, but they are spread out across the UK. So it's really key that you look to your local council to see if they have any energy efficiency funding available. And I think these slides will be shared, so you can click on the link that I've provided there, and it gives you a whole host of various grants that are available. There's also non-government funding that's available. So there's the grants online. There's also one called Let's Talk. There's also for both of those will be dependent upon, you know, the eligibility criteria, the size of your business, where you're based, and the amount of funding that's available depends upon which of those mechanisms you're able to go for. So it's mainly for smaller businesses or those under 250 employees, but it's just something that you know, you need to go and have a look at, really. That's my key piece of advice for that. There should be something for you, but have a look and find out. Then moving on from that, if you are to install any energy efficiency measure, and that goes for insulation or any energy efficiency measure, heat pumps or whatever it might be, it's really important that the standards are high so that you are getting the desired effect of those measures. And in order to do that, there are various mechanisms in place to make sure that those works are being carried out to a particular standard. So PAS 2035-2019 or PAS 2030-2019, they provide best practice. You'll find that many installers of insulation will be PAS certified or Trustmark certified. And you know, it's something that the NIA really advocate. They advocate that in the workplace in the industry, should I say, sorry, there are energy efficiency measures carried out to these high standards to avoid, you know, cowboy installations taking place where, you know, investment is being made by the consumer and it's not done to a certain standard, so therefore the benefit isn't being felt. So it's really important that you check and look at who it is that you're looking to install your measures. Check whether they are accredited, and I would advise that that you go with somebody who is, if you can, or at least who's working under someone who is providing that level of standard. And then to kind of go back to, well, how would you even begin to look at your property and think about, what is it that we need to install? Because I think a lot of the time we have an idea as to what might provide the most benefit, but actually it's really important to get a professional in to have a look at your building, take a whole house approach. And one of those roles are retrofit roles. So there's numerous roles within this, and I've listed them all out here so you can read into a little bit more detail. But you've got a retrofit advisor, and the retrofit advisor will provide you with advice on the various measures that are available. An assessor then carries out the assessment of your property. They'll be able to look at what's, first of all, suitable for your building, what will provide the most benefit, what maybe you should prioritize. For example, there are times where insulation should be installed before installing a low carbon heating source, because of reducing that demand of the property first is important, so that therefore if you are to install a low carbon heating measure, it doesn't need to work quite as hard to be able to get that desired temperature within the property. So it's really key to get that retrofit assessor that really points you in the right direction. They're also PAS accredited, and so you're ensuring that they are providing that sound quality advice. And then your retrofit coordinator can, if you want, project manage the entire process from once that assessment has been carried out and until that process is done. I know Chris was speaking about a bit about system design, and so you can have a retrofit designer. They will carry out the whole design of the project. It depends about the level that you want to go in, how complex your building is, the funds that you have available to be able to carry out the work, all that sort of thing. You have an evaluator as well that looks at monitoring how successful that installation has been. They monitor before, seeing how much energy you've used, afterwards as well. And then finally, you can have a retrofit installer, and those retrofit installers must be Trustmark registered. That's another level of quality, and they will also have to have been awarded PAS 2030 or MCS. So I think really the key point to take away here is there are lots of individuals that are able to help to ensure that the work that you invest in will be carried out to a standard that you really desire, to make sure that you're getting the benefits. Just worth noting that on our website, with the link there, you can find, if you put in your postcode, the closest installer to you. So we probably have around about 60 installers that are NIA members. And again, most of them are accredited, but it's worth just making sure that they are, if you get in touch with them. So just to summarize what I've spoken about, it's about kind of remembering that insulation really does bring significant benefits. There can be high costs associated with those, but there should be some funding that's there available to you. If you do go down the route of installing insulation or any other energy efficiency measures, it's worth making sure that they are of that high quality standard. And if you are interested in looking at insulation, learning more about it, looking at our postcode locator to see who's nearest to you, have a look at our website. And that's it from me. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions at all, do feel free to drop me an email. I'll make sure those are provided in the slides as well. Thank you.